Thank you for having me. My name is Kate Bowden. I am a staff attorney at the Rhode Island Disability Law Center, and I am here on behalf of the Rhode Island Disability Law Center to support Senator Goldin's Bill 2641 for the full repeal. The Rhode Island Disability Law Center is a federally funded nonprofit office designated to protect and advocate for the rights of people with disabilities, including voters with disabilities in Rhode Island. We provide free legal services to people who have disabilities, and among other grants, we receive grant funding under the Help America Vote Act. The Disability Law Center continues to oppose a strict mandate for photo ID at the polls because we have seen that it can impose a barrier by creating an extra requirement for certain people that may disenfranchise people who would otherwise be eligible voters. You've heard about studies tonight, and there are some studies that show that some people don't have ID. And I know that is difficult to fathom in this day and age, but it happens. I can say that in recent months, I have personally met people with disabilities and without disabilities who did not have an ID that would meet the strict 2014 requirements that are in place. In these recent months, I have met people with disabilities and without disabilities who were uncertain of the requirements of what they would have to show at the polls and were uncertain about how they would go about getting a free voter ID. While the state does offer that ID, I echo others who have noted that for people with disabilities who have trouble accessing cars or public transportation, just getting there can be a barrier. So while we are here in support of the repeal, I wanted to echo some of these other organizations and say that if there was consideration for some sort of compromise that would include some expanded number of IDs, we would advocate for the 2012 list that proved to be effective and without many problems. In closing, I just want to say that we know our country was founded on the principle of everyone being equal, and living up to that promise we think should mean that we would not maintain laws that block otherwise eligible people from voting. So we hope you will consider supporting a full repeal for voter ID, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions? Senator Reichenbaum.
Just a point of clarification, did you mean to say that you would advocate for the 2012 bill or the more expansive bill that's proposed? Because you said right before that you advocate for anything that's more expansive.
I'm sorry if I was unclear. I was trying to echo Mr. Brown, who suggested that a good common ground would be to accept any of the IDs that were accepted in 2012 with the Board of Elections longer list. So our main message is that we want to include people in voting, and we hope you would consider the most robust list available, including an analysis of making sure that the IDs on the list actually exist. For example, we represent many people who live in public housing. I'm not aware of a public housing organization that issues IDs for the people who live there. And the public housing ID is one of the IDs on the list.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for this witness? Thank you.